Live from Wisconsin, it's Play That Rock and
Roll. We are coming at you live, live baby live. This is Play That Rock and Roll live. It's our first ever official live stream, which we are going to be doing every other Thursday night here on Gigaverse. Tonight, we are going to be joined by my good friend and often co-host Chris, and we are going to be talking about one of my favorite guys, Steve Miller. Specifically, we're going to be counting down the top 10 Steve Miller songs for each of us. And Chris will have his list. I've got my list right here, and we'll talk about what our favorite Steve Miller songs are. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I got my Steve Miller Band box set over here. Who remembers these things? I got this super cheap on eBay a long time ago because these are not really used so much anymore. But I like this stuff because sometimes you get booklets like these. I saw Steve Miller Band at Summerfest in 2022, actually with Chris. And that is where I bought this hoodie. And I bought this hoodie just to show, or just to have this great Pegasus logo on the back. Is that great or what? I think this is my favorite version of the Steve Miller logo. I mean, don't get me wrong, these are great too, but this one's fun. I wore that hoodie when I interviewed Joseph Wooten a number of years ago. Joseph Wooten has been the keyboard player of the Steve Miller Band for the past 30 years. For our 75th episode, he was a guest on this show. The last thing I'll show you right here before we get going with the guest is this is a Steve Miller Joker pint glass. There we go. That's coming through here. I got this at Wisconsin State Fair in 2010 when I went to see Steve Miller Band. So tonight, we are finally going to put this to use. I'm going to pour myself a beer, and that will be my beverage for the evening in my Steve Miller Band Joker pint glass. Here we go. We are starting the number right 10 pick from Chris.
All right. Well, Bongo Bongo.
Bongo Bongo for
and you
10.
could you hear it or no?
I can see it. You can stop sharing now.
Here's the story.
Yeah.
I found myself kind of tapping my feet to this song as I was listening to the whole catalog going through.
Yeah.
And I put it on my playlist that I was doing because I was like weeding them out as I went. And on my walk, I was listening to it. And right when like the blah, blah, blah came on, 2 dragonflies mid-coitus flew past me. And I was like, it's a sign. That's number 10. It beat out the steak. I took the steak off my list because I put on Bongo Bongo.
Wow. Okay, so Bongo Bongo, that's from Italian X-Rays.
Yes.
Which is got to be the weirdest album from his catalog. This is really funny because my number 10 pick is also from the early 80s. My number 10 pick is Macho City from the Circle of Love album. The album version of this song is an entire side. All of side 2. 16 minutes, just Macho City. Which includes like a minute plus of just the sound of rain. Like the full version, it fades all the way out to silence, and then it's just rain. And then it like fades all the way back into more guitar noodling. And then you have a 16-minute runtime. A weirdly political song, but it's this goofy political. I love when he goes, ask those people about the macho plan. Do-do-do-do.
It took 45 years, whatever it is, for that song to, it's now relevant because the that's kind of like politics became so dumb. You know what it is?
Yeah.
It's not that the
Yeah.
song aged well. This is not like a song that aged well. It's a
Right.
culture that didn't.
Yeah. Both of us going to the early 80s for our number 10 spot. Bongo Bongo and Macho City. Why don't you move us ahead to number 9?
All right. I chose Seasons.
Seasons.
It's a beautiful song. I really like it.
I like that one because that's a good example of when he's focused on composition. And and composition is questionable with the ones we just talked about. Like there's a real beauty to that song. It always makes me think of a song I think is very connected to seasons is Wintertime.
Wintertime.
Yeah, Fly Like an Eagle. Okay. Yeah, a good pick. That was a runner-up for sure. My number 9, I'm going to the radio, Jungle Love. Number 9
Oh,
is
yeah.
Jungle Love for me. Obviously, has played that every time I've seen him in concert. Crowd pleaser, big radio hit. I thought about leaving it off because is that one of those overplay songs? And I let it play out for a little bit as I was listening. I was just like, no, this song is awesome.
Here's the thing. I mean, the man was a master for a solid 15 years, 20 years of like FM radio hits. So I feel
Yeah.
like, and there's some of his best songs. I mean, I certainly didn't. In fact, I gave points for like if they were sort of they had that longevity and were in the
Yeah.
on the radio frequently. I don't know. That's kind of what I think of when I think of Steve Miller. Honestly, I think of like a radio hit guy, and that's fine. He had a lot of them.
The craziest thing about his radio dominance for the time he had was almost all of it came out of one stretch of creativity of writing, recording, and working on one large batch of songs in like 1975. After he had had a hit with the Joker, he had finally earned some time off. And he took that time off. It was 1975. And he wrote all of the music that was on Fly Like an Eagle and Book of Dreams. And even the track for Abracadabra, the song, came from those sessions. So almost his whole run of like radio dominance came from one creative stretch in like 75, 76. To me, that's the only other band I can think of that was so concentrated in a period of time was like Creedence.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to get a beverage,
Grab
and then
it.
we'll move on to number 8. So bear with me 1 second.
All right.
This is left over from St. Patty's Day, having myself a harp.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Last one. Okay. Sorry for the delay. Let's get back on track here. What do you have in the number 8 spot?
I went with Living in the USA.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's notable, first of all, I love a good song that talks about cheeseburgers. And this is just,
Yes.
I
Somebody
mean,
give
whether
me a
that's,
cheeseburger.
yeah, I mean, whether it's Cheeseburger in Paradise or, of course, Heavy Fuel. I mean, you know my
Yes.
love of Heavy Fuel. And Living in the USA does mention getting a cheeseburger at the end of it. So I had to include it. And it's a great song.
Can I tell you something? I agree so strongly that my number 8 is also Living in the USA.
Yes.
So we are
right.
matched up here. I hope this happens another time, but what a good one. So there's a lot of people that don't like 60s protest music, and I get it, but I think this would be the song that I would say, all right, you don't like Eva Destruction, I get it. What about this? This
Yeah.
one's fun. It's funny. It's rocking. It's a fun listen. It's not like condescending. It doesn't bring it down. But at the same time, it's about that hippie spirit. I mean, when I saw him this last time, a couple years ago, I think he mentioned talking about being part of the hippie era in the late 60s. And, he didn't do too much of that, but if you're gonna do it, you can do it a hell of a lot worse than this. So that is a fun one.
I mean, yeah, and it's weird too because like rock music kind of came up at least inseparably from, I shouldn't say rock music, but classic rock really came up, and it's sort of like as part and parcel of like the 60s counterculture, which was overtly political, very chaotically so, but like
Yeah.
oh, there's a lot of things going on, but like I mean, yeah, so it's weird that that would put some people off. Just
Well,
don't listen to
when
the
I say
lyrics.
people, I mean like Gen Xers who like didn't appreciate their parents' music,
Oh yeah,
that kind of thing. Uh, you know, uh, this is a an obscurity, but I found a Steve Miller tribute album from a number of years back, and it's like an all star tribute to Steve Miller,
yeah.
and the person who sings "Living in the USA" is Fee Waybill from the Tubes.
Oh, nice. All
Yeah, it's
right.
actually a pretty good cover of it.
Yeah,
And he
I'll have to
does
look that
say
up.
he doesn't say somebody get me a cheeseburger. He says somebody get me a double cheeseburger or something to that effect at the end. Which
Well, that's to reflect the change in times. We are no
there
longer
you
satisfied with a cheeseburger. We need a double double, and I'm okay,
absolutely.
and I'm fine with that. I mean, make mine a veggie, but like I'm fine with that. That's
Let's move ahead to number 7.
so I highly suspect that we will not match on number 7
Okay.
because I went with hot chili.
Hot chili. Oh, holy crap. I think I do
Well,
have that.
that's
You have
that's
hot
off that's
chili?
off number 5 is what
Number
that's
5.
yeah.
Why didn't you save it for number 5?
Mm-mm.
Oh, interesting. Okay, number 5. This is one of the lost gems of Steve's catalog. Uh, a number of interesting tracks here, and this is also, I don't know if you noticed this, maybe his most political album.
Oh, I noticed that for sure.
Yeah. So
I mean,
okay, so what made
there's a subtext to hot chili that like no.
All right, well tell me about Hot Chili. That's a fun
It's a
pick.
s- it's a song that is pretty much just about looking at like girly magazines and then getting hot chili and eating it. It's groovy after a movie or watching TV. I mean, that's in
Yeah.
there. Um so I've probably listened to this song the most of any of the songs, including Bongo Bongo, of any of them since I started going through the catalog in preparation for this. And my 10-year-old son also loves the song because, I mean, it's a kid's song, really, in so many
Another
ways.
food song.
Yeah, there's a trend. There's
Yeah.
definitely, but it's fun. It's got like a sort of like south of the border feel to it. It's a fun song.
Yeah, absolutely. I like this album a lot. This is my favorite of his early days.
Okay.
Joker and earlier. This is my favorite full album. Obviously, there are songs that I like more than some of the stuffs here, but those are one-offs. This full album is a good one. So got a little gatefold action here. Show that off. Not too much to look at.
I liked it. Rolling Stone hated it when it came out. I read the review on number 5, but they're frequently wrong, so I don't care. But
I
because
don't
it's a
think they
great album.
liked him. I
Yeah,
could be wrong, but I don't think they liked him in back in the day. And I think he's one of those guys like he got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame way later than he probably should have been. And when he went into the Hall of Fame, he was a bastard about it and
yeah,
went in, you know, dumping on them the whole way, making it very well known that he did not appreciate or like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Probably the most disrespectful entrant of everybody who's been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And the crazy thing is he's not wrong. Like all of his criticisms for that place were
right.
accurate, right on the money. But for someone who doesn't have that context, if you saw any video of him in 2016 talking about the Rock Hall, I think he would come off as a jerk. But again, if you know the stuff, it's just like, no, but what he was saying was right.
Right.
So I don't think Rolling Stone liked him back in the day. And I also remember reading an article in Rolling Stone. This is someone else who didn't like him. It was an article about the Eagles, and the Eagles were touring with Steve Miller as the opening act in like 1976.
Sure.
They have Hotel California. He's got Fly Like an Eagle. He's the opening act. And the article, part of that article involves an interview with Irving Azoff, who we've talked about,
Oh yeah.
who runs Ticketmaster now. But back in the day, he was the manager for the Eagles. So, he's always been evil. And he, in this interview, he says to the guy interviewing him, because they're talking while Steve is playing on stage, and Azoff points to Steve Miller and says, "Look at this guy. He dresses like a banker. He's supposed to be some rock star and is totally disrespectful about Steve Miller." And that's the one thing that I remember from that article. He was just flippantly disrespectful about Steve Miller. So
Now,
just
now I'm
another
gonna be
reason to
think,
fucking hate Irving Azoff.
but the problem is now you've introduced that into my head, and from now on I'm going to refer to all of Steve Miller's output as banker rock. So thanks for that.
Well, here's the other problem. He did look like a banker. He always kind of has.
Yeah.
He never did the outfits. That's he was known for making space music in the 70s, but he never did like the sparkling Elton John type, outfits. He didn't, I think he could have, maybe it's to his credit, I don't know, but like for the music he was making, I don't think anyone would have batted an eye if he had come out on stage wearing a robe like Ric Flair. You know what I mean?
You know what? He rejects the artifice. He's like, I'm all about that music, and I don't need. I mean, it makes sense when you hear his last two albums, which I know
Right.
we won't really cover because it's all covers.
Yep.
But he's a blues guy. I mean, he really wants to be a blues guy, I think, more than anything, and he's got a good band around him, and he's good at it. So I can
He is
see why.
absolutely a blues guy at heart. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, that is the fun number 7 pick. For me, you went back to the early 70s. I'm going forward into the late 80s with my favorite song from his later years. The single, I Want to Make the World Turn Around from 1987, I believe. That is a single he put out, I think, once he had accepted that pop success wasn't really in the cards for him anymore. And this was his sort of like approach on getting on VH1 instead of MTV, doing sort of, approaching adult contemporary. Kind of like I don't know, what do you call that genre of like Don Henley and Sting and Billy Joel in the late 80s? That I guess adult oriented rock.
Wuss rock. It's called wuss rock.
Old person music. Yeah. Yeah, well, I like a lot of that wuss rock, man. Like Steve Winwood did a bunch of Michelob commercials, and I love all of those songs.
Oh, hey, I love it too. I mean, in a lot of ways, I'm the target audience,
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, no, who was I talking to? Oh, when Matt was on, we were talking about Phil Collins, and I said to him, as I've gotten older, I've come to appreciate Phil Collins a lot more. And as I said it, I realized that's the most stereotypical thing I've ever said. And it's just like, that's very true for a good chunk of my music taste. Like, I like that rock stars entering their middle age era. I guess because I'm really at that point myself in life, but I've always kind of liked that music. I've always liked the late 80s versions of Steve Winwood, Eric Clapton, and in this case, Steve Miller. I Want to Make the World Turn Around, I think, is a cool song. He brought that back into the set lists when I saw him in 2012 at Summerfest. I thought that was awesome. when I saw him this last time in 2024, he didn't play that song all the way through, but during Fly Like an Eagle, I believe, he like took the guitar riff from that song and wove that into the chorus because he did a jam on Fly Like an Eagle. So he was playing a little bit of I Want to Make the World Turn Around in that. I thought that was really cool. And then, of course, it's me we're talking about here, so I have to bring up it was used in an episode of Miami Vice, and that's kind of a cheat code to getting on
Yeah.
any top 10 list I'm doing. So, number 7 for me, I Want to Make the World Turn Around. Did that one mean anything to you? I mean, what did you think of that record? Because
That
you
was
listen to all this
exclusive.
stuff, right?
Was that exclusive? Wait, was that on an album or is that just a single exclusively?
Sorry, yeah, that was on an album. Living in the 20th Century in 1987.
So I definitely did hear it, but I didn't strike me as anything. That whole album was like I listened to it all the way through. I didn't go back as much to that album as the other ones, but
That one is largely a blues covers record.
okay.
So for me, the album as a whole is kind of disposable because I know that's his favorite stuff to do. It's not really my favorite stuff to listen to, but the one of the originals is this I Want to Make the World Turn Around, and I like it. Okay,
All right.
almost at the halfway point here. Let's go to number 6.
And now some radio stuff, rocking me.
Very good.
That's-
Okay. Yeah, if we didn't get some more radio stuff from you, I was gonna get a little worried here.
I know
Rockin' Me.
it's made, yeah. It's all main going for it, but I mean, here's the thing. Rockin' Me, I can think of no better song on like a summer day, windows down in the car, driving around. It's perfect. It's on the playlist, like on the mixtape or mix CD for a road trip. I mean, I don't know. That's me.
Dude, I think you nailed it. And I won't give away the spot, but we're definitely going to be talking about this song again. In fact, I'll save what I was going to say about it. I'll just say it belongs on a top 10 list of any. I'm sorry, it belongs on anyone's top 10 Steve Miller songs list. That's absolute classic. My number 6 is also a big radio hit. It's the one that rhymes taxes with faxes with justice. Take the money and run.
Yep.
Ooh, Lord. One of my favorites, one of the best sing-alongs. That's another thing. His radio songs are such great sing-alongs. I think that's why I love going to see him in concert, because like every other song, the whole audience is singing along to it, and that is a great one.
I've actually got it higher up on my list, so
Okay,
but
then
I
we can
firmly agree. And
expand
actually
on
was
that a
making
little
a point of mentioning the taxes and faxes. So yeah.
and justice.
And
Faxes,
also,
taxes, justice.
well, but he also earlier rhymes with Texas.
Yes, and Texas, right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to pull up the lyrics. I'm gonna have to pull up the lyrics for "Take the Money and Run" because we got to talk about that because that's one of those things that, like, again, I've come across a few people that like don't like Steve Miller. Again, I think it's a lot of Gen Xers who,
Yeah.
didn't really like that era as a whole. But the hit on Steve Miller, one of them is about the questionable rhyming in "Take the Money and Run." I think it's a plus for
Oh,
the
it's
song because it makes it so much more memorable and funny.
and it's good. And also like faxes and taxes is a great rhyme. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's Zevon level. That's like
Yes.
that's real good. But it's funny you mention it as I was listening to it. I realized that's the first Steve Miller song I became aware of like as a child was
Oh, no
was
kidding.
Take the Money and Run. Because it was on KLH. Shout out to WKLH.
Obviously.
My dad chuckled at the makes his living off other people's taxes. And I
Oh,
remember being like 8 and being like, why is that? I don't understand. And then he explained to me that police officers hate it when you remind them that they work for you and that you pay them with your tax money. And then he had to dodge a bunch more questions that I had for him after that. But
That is hilarious. Yes, absolutely. Yes, and it explains so much about you, frankly.
There.
Let us move on now to the halfway point. We are now at number 5.
All right.
What's your number 5?
Now, I could have put this higher, but I just thought it would be in poor taste to put it higher. But Wide River.
Wide River.
I
Wide
worked at
River.
a pharmacy for years, and this song, for about 8 months, I'd say, was on the rotation from the overhead. So I know this song so well. I probably listened to it 5 times a day for like 8 months. And I love it. I didn't get tired of it. I love it.
So Wide River, that was his last album of original material. Came out in 1993, the same year that Billy Joel put out his last album. I think flat out. I think he stopped doing albums altogether. So they both kind of threw in the towel in 1993. And it's because I think on Steve's end, Wide River, although I agree with you, a damn good song, the album flopped, and he had only recently came back to touring regularly. He didn't tour through most of the 80s. I think the Abracadabra tour didn't do very well. I think they had to cancel shows because of low tickets. And he sat out the 80s all the way until I think 1988. In between these things, his greatest hits went out on CD, and classic rock radio started. So his older hits were in regular rotation, and that got back into pop culture. So a lot of people came out to see him. The problem was now this audience, this was the start of audiences not being interested in new songs. And it took years for really every classic rock artist to get used to that. The bathroom break song and go get a beer song is always the new stuff. And I think Steve took that really hard because there are 2 TV interviews I can think of where he mentions his frustration with that. That's one of my favorite clips of him because it's a representation of how a whole genre, a whole generation of artists was feeling in the late 80s and late 90s. They liked that their old stuff was back on radio and finding a new audience, but they were having a hard time reckoning with the fact that live audiences were much more interested in only hearing those old hits, and were not particularly interested in what the artists were up to currently.
They're so conservative, man. You come out and they just love you. You play the Joker and Rockin' Me and Jet Airliner and everybody's happy. And then you say, now I'm going to do this new song. Everybody just kind of, huh?
Well, you know how that is.
So, but now we're over the hump, and that was the first 3 weeks of the tour. And now they all seem to know it, and it's going over real good. I'm glad to report.
That's great. So let's get it on.
All right.
Were you able to hear that on your end?
Okay.
I was.
Like that emotion, or that emoji with like the smiling face mask and like angry tears behind it. That sort of energy.
It seems to have hit that generation of musicians significantly harder than a lot of the previous and subsequent. And maybe I'm wrong. I'm sure that all musicians throughout time and all artists throughout time struggle with relevance. But like, you got to imagine that like when the whole music scene and counterculture that they came out of was all about youth and all about pushing boundaries and breaking boundaries, to all of a sudden become basically your act is what you did 20 years ago. Got to be hard. I don't know.
Hope I die before I get old. That whole generation.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, I think that's true, and I think maybe the other part of it would have been perhaps overexposure, because this is still the monoculture we're talking about. And I think a big chunk of the 90s was not just about grunge being great. It was about enough already. Enough of the hair metal. Enough of these 45-year-olds. Enough of adult, just enough. We want something new. Like, it was a very reactive sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, there's a reason the hair metal bands were all wearing a lot of makeup. It wasn't because it looked cool. It was to cover up all their wrinkles. I mean,
Yes. The reason Abracadabra is in my number 5 spot more than anything else is because of that breakdown at the end of the song, the whatever that breakdown is, absolutely makes the song. And this is definitely his most hated from like, rock critic people. And I, push back on that wholeheartedly because of, again, that last third of the song, which has such a cool guitar solo.
I like the whole song, and the fact it was now okay. Was it inspired by seeing? Was it Tina Turner in a ski suit, or was it Diana? It must have been Tina Turner, I believe.
Actually, no, you were right. It was Diana Ross.
It was Diana Ross. Okay, I knew it was either
Because
Tina
the
Turner or Diana
lyrics,
Ross.
it was yes, it was inspired by
And in
him
the
seeing her.
'80s, either one in a ski suit, I can see why. But like,
Yeah. But he also wanted to do it. He wanted to do a pop rock song like the Supremes would do it. So that abra abra could it kind of does have that like 60s girl group feel to it, which
yeah.
yeah, maybe isn't the first thing you think of for like an 80s rock song, but I don't know. Like, I love Ronnie Spector. I love Diana Ross and the Supremes from the 60s. Like, I don't think that's a bad era or genre to be inspired by. And, I can kind of see it that. You can picture like three
Yeah.
girls doing that abra, abracadabra.
But then the reach out and grab is confusing. It's
Right. Yeah.
well, is it like and bringing it on stage? I guess I can kind of even see
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Okay.
Number 4. What do you got for number 4?
Oh, Jet Airliner.
Oh, love it.
I love the opening. It's a great opening to a song, but
You're talking about Threshold, right? That instrumental piece? Or are you talking about the guitar riff?
I'm done with the riff. Yeah,
Oh,
the riff.
yes.
Although Threshold also great, and he's got a lot of great. And I question whether or not like is Jet Airliner separate? Like, can you separate it from Threshold? And is it still is because they played on the radio usually, right? Before they
Right.
oftentimes, not always, but usually. And that's true also for which I'm sure we'll talk about later. Fly Like an Eagle has was it
Yep.
Space Intro, right?
Yes. And to me, the mark of a good classic rock channel is the one that plays Eruption before Running with the Devil. It's the
Okay.
one
Yeah.
that plays what is that? Oh, what leads into Another Brick in the Wall Part 2? Another Brick in the Wall Part 1, and then there's
Oh.
that track in the middle. Oh shoot, I forget what it's
Yeah,
called.
you're talking about Pink Floyd now, which I don't talk about. So
Yeah. If a radio station plays the intro piece from the album before the song, then that to me is a mark of quality for the radio station. It's just exactly the type of song you want at a classic rock concert. Sing along chorus, killer guitar riff, killer guitar solo when he gets to it.
there's a little bit of sadness in it that's there, which I think all good, like otherwise sort of like peppy rockin' songs do have with the goodbye to the people I trusted. I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of a really kind of a heartfelt line, actually.
Yeah, and I don't know if you're aware of this, but he didn't write it. That is a song that was written by a guy named Paul Pena, and he has got his own weird story in music. He wrote that song for an album that got tied up in court, and it couldn't be released. And he wrote it in like 1973, 1974. He couldn't release it until 2000. So the record label torpedoed his career because of some legal bullshit. So someone in Steve Miller's band knew Paul and knew that song was a hit and connected those two and got Jet Airliner in front of Steve. I'll be honest, I much prefer Steve Miller's version, but the original version from Paul Pena that was on the album that came out in 2000 is exactly what you noticed. There is absolutely a sadness to that song, and that comes from the lyrics. So that's impressive that you picked up on that. My favorite lyric from the song is "funky shit going on in the city,"
Yeah.
or for the radio, "funky kicks going down in the city." I don't know. What do you think about that for a radio lyric? "Funky kicks going down in the city."
I think if you continue doing, and I think you will, this live, stream,
Yeah.
I think at some point you should dedicate it to picking maybe between 10 and 20 hilarious radio edits. Because I've seen it with movies. I haven't seen a
Yeah.
lot of people do it with
Oh,
songs, you know?
yeah.
I guess
This is
the
what.
Cheech and Chong movie, by the way, there is a film edit of it that is a completely, we're getting off track here, but that is a completely different film, basically, where they're trying to get diamonds like sold so they can give the money to an orphanage. It's like Blues Brothers, but with
Yeah.
Cheech and Chong. I don't know. It's supposed to be great.
Well, I'll say this: my brother is at the movie theater tonight, seeing a screening of The Big Lebowski, which I had to turn down because we were doing this tonight. And The Big Lebowski, of course, has one of the most famous TV edits with "This is what happens when you find a stranger in the Alps."
Love it. You love to see it. I mean, what?
Oh my God, I love to see it.
And
But you're
when you
right.
think about that,
A censored song list would be a good topic for a live stream, I think.
and that's a dying art form because like now everybody just streams everything, so
Right.
there's no yeah.
The craziest one I think I ever heard was ASAP Rocky with a song called Problems. And the lyric is, I love bad bitches, that's my fucking problem. I love bad bitches, that's my fucking problem, right? On the radio,
Ain't it everybody's.
absolutely. on the radio, they had to butcher it so bad so it came off as a little, because he didn't do he didn't do an alternative version. They just had to censor it. So it came off as a little bad, that's my problem.
I like that.
Yeah, awful. Okay, my number 4, one you mentioned already, Rockin' Me. Can't
Yeah.
beat it. I think what you said about it is perfect. You nailed it. It's a radio hit. It's a classic sing-along, for a concert. Absolutely the sound of, radio in the 70s. So I don't have anything to add to it. So instead, I'm going to read from an Onion article, okay? Player's career arc exactly mirrors second verse of Steve Miller's Rockin' Me. While listening to the radio on his drive home Monday afternoon, former MLB player Terry Bolin realized that his professional career exactly mirrors the travel of the man in Steve Miller's song Rockin' Me. Quote, I went from Phoenix, Arizona, all the way to Tacoma, Philadelphia, Atlanta, LA, said Bolin, who was selected in the 1998 expansion draft by the Arizona Diamondbacks, traded to the Mariners, spent a season with their AAA affiliate Tacoma Rainers, claimed by the Philadelphia Phillies in the Rule 5 draft, released and picked off of waivers the following year by the Atlanta Braves, and traded once more to the Dodgers of Los Angeles. And the article goes on. I bet there's a bit of baseball player who's been pretty close. Those guys move around,
Yeah.
All right. Enough silliness. We are in the top 3 already. Okay, this is where it gets serious. No more messing around here. What is your number 3 top Steve Miller song?
This is where I have Take the Money and Run.
Take the Money and Run. Okay. Billy Mack is a detective down in Texas. You know exactly just what the facts is. He ain't going to let those two escape justice. He makes his living off of the people's taxes. Oh, man, that is so great.
Do we think that Billy Joe killed the guy or just shot him? This is, hey, you laugh, but again, I was listening to these with my kid, and he was very concerned about the welfare of the man that Billy Joe
okay.
shot. Because he's a villain if he killed him, right? If he just
Right.
like flesh wound, then it's like he's a robber and it went wrong. But the guy's okay, I don't know.
Well, okay, they sit around the house, get high, watch the tube. I guess it depends on the high. If they're getting high with weed, you didn't kill him.
Like, yeah, below the
But
waist.
if
shot,
they're getting
yeah.
high with coke, that dude's dead. So please explain that in specific detail to your son for me. Make sure
Yeah, I
he
kind of cleared my
understands the
throat during the getting high watching tube part. It was like getting. Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, because I think they ran into a great big hassle. In my version, it's because they were stoned on weed, and they weren't expecting someone to be there. So, it was a hassle because he wasn't expecting a guy to be there, so he shot him in the leg, and they're still running today, and the guy's alive.
You're right.
That's my version, but there is a version that it could be dark.
No, you're right though, because like when you're smoking pot, you know, a lot of things can be like a hassle. But if you're high on cocaine, everything's just an opportunity.
Yes, absolutely.
That's my, I don't know, that's my opinion on that.
Okay. My number 3, I mean, how can it not be on the list? It's, I think, even more than the Joker, his signature song, Fly Like an Eagle, with the space intro. It definitely needs the space intro. I feel very strongly about that. I remember seeing a CBS special about Steve Miller a long time ago, and he talked about, you know, putting that track together. And one of the things he mentioned was that beep at the end of the song, that beep, 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 as it fades out. That wasn't something he thought of. That was like a recording alert or something. That was something that was just on the tape to like let them know they were running out of tape. And it just fit so perfectly
Oh yeah.
with that ending that they were like, well, we got to keep that.
It's like Sputnik or something. It's got like a
Yes!
satellite kind of, it's perfect. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. I loved that. So now, you know, it gives me a good reason to make sure I don't ever skip, you know, the song as it's fading out. I always enjoy it to the end, but not to, you know, lose the forest for the trees here. That's such a great song. I loved when I saw him in concert, and he, you know, he always turns it into a jam session. And the first time we saw him, I think Joseph Wooten, his keyboard player, was still doing the rap.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Oh yeah. Well, yeah.
Well, okay. You remember me telling you about it the next day?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So in that breakdown, you know, everybody's got their instrumental pieces, and I think Joseph would do a keyboard solo, but he would also come out from behind. This is in the 2000s, and I think they stopped around 2009. And he would come out from behind the keyboard and do like a short rap uh, based on Fly Like an Eagle. And when he was a guest on this podcast, I asked him about it, and from memory, he did the rap just like that on the show.
The rich get richer and the poor get madder. The story gets sadder when the pockets get fatter and the data keeps coming that we're not getting better. Got to get it right because this is not a double header. Got to put the fight, living life to the letter. We got to unite, yeah, we got to stick together and weather the storm of evil and corruption in every form. We got to keep our children safe from harm. See eye to eye, stand arm in arm, yeah, we got to be strong and we got to be fierce if we want to win the battle. Got to be strong, stand tall in the saddle. Got to fly like an eagle to the sea. So everyone to be what they got to be free.
Oh, man. You still got it. It's
awesome.
one of the coolest moments of my entire run as a podcaster.
That's very cool.
When you see Steve in concert, like, that is the song that gives them the most wiggle room to do fun stuff live. And, you know, that's a great part of the show.
Oh yeah, I mean the song's perfect for that too because it's got like the, I mean it has the just enough like synth, right?
Yep.
Or like, you know, it's got just the right amount of theatrical kind of vibe to it that you can broaden that and really, yeah, that makes sense. I liked it so much, it's my number 2.
Oh, okay. We can stay on it. We can stay on it here.
It's a song that I think people know, and they know it even if they don't know Steve Miller did it. People who are 20 years old now who do not listen to classic rock, they know Fly Like an Eagle. They may not know who sang it, but they know Fly Like an Eagle. And that's a testament to doing something right.
You know, I'm glad you said that because earlier today, I told my girlfriend that we were doing this. And she's like, I don't know any of his songs. And I said, yeah, you do. You know, and I started singing Fly Like an Eagle. And she's like, oh, yeah. And I didn't let her finish. I interrupted her. I'm like, I know you know the Seal version of that song. And she's like, yep, exactly. And I'm like, I'm talking about the real version. You know, she didn't even know it was a cover. But
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was on the Seals version, was on the Space Jam soundtrack. So I think that was probably my first introduction to a Steve Miller song that I was conscious of. I mean, my family loved
Right.
Steve Miller, so I know I grew up around that at family parties, but I don't think it registered. I don't think many songs really register as when you're a kid until you see them in like a movie.
Right. And I guess like that's like a like modern American songbook then kind of thing, where it's like the artist is almost still important. I'm not trying to think, but like almost secondary to like the output to that song because it's just gonna
No,
last and last and last. Yeah.
you're 100% right on that. 100%. Now, here's a question for you. Is Time Keeps on Slipping, Slipping, Slipping into the Future Steve's signature lyric? Because he's got a couple. He's got maybe one or two that you could argue instead.
Part of me almost hopes not because I think I'm thinking back 20 years ago, we had this conversation that I'm not sure that makes sense.
Yeah,
Like
go
time is
on. What would make more
kind of
sense? Go
slipping
ahead and say it.
into the well, like we're slipping into the future, but time's kind of going backwards, right? In a sense, like we're moving forward through time, but time itself is kind of almost like trailing us, right? I don't
Time
know.
keeps slipping into the past.
No, it doesn't make any sense, and also sounds terrible. But I'm saying,
Right.
like, if you really think through it,
Yes, thank
I
you.
don't know. I don't know.
Our artistic license there.
Exactly.
No, that's funny. I remember you specifically telling me your thoughts on that while we were driving to God knows where in our
Yeah.
I call them our loitering years in college when we
I
would just
also
drive around.
I also like to change the lyrics to Jet Airliner into something very crude. I mean, that's just something which I won't, use your
Okay.
imagination, listeners.
Okay, number two, Fly Like an Eagle. That is great. All right, my number two. This is where I have Threshold and Jet Airliner, and much like with Space Intro,
Sure.
Jet Airliner for me, I need Threshold ahead of it. And again, going back to talking about seeing Steve in concert, there was, I think, only one time that I recall him playing specifically Threshold before Jet Airliner, and it was at that State Fair show we saw in 2010 because he opened the show with Threshold and Jet Airliner. And every other time we've seen him, Jet Airliner is absolutely a closing back end of the set list song because it's such a crowd pleaser. But in 2010, he opened shows with it. I like that. So that's all I got for number two. I suspect we are coming up on a number one here that we're going to agree on. We agreed on number 8 with Living in the USA. I think we're going to agree on number 1. You want to tell me what yours is?
I'm fairly certain we're not going to agree on number one. I did Space Cowboy.
Mine is Space Cowboy.
Okay. All right, fine. You did
The
it.
misdirect. The misdirect. Everybody watching thought we were going to say the Joker. The Joker's not on the list because we're Steve Miller fans. We're not just radio fans. We are Steve Miller fans. The Joker is a fine song. It's not a top 10 song for me. Number 1 is the song that the Joker references, Space fucking Cowboy.
Hey, the Joker also references The Gangster of Love, which also in Space Cowboy. I mean, there's a lot going on in that song. Okay, first of all, it already has a strike against it because it rhymes love with love. And if there's one thing that's anathema to me with lyrics, it's when they rhyme the same word, like the word with itself.
Yeah.
But it works in Space Cowboy because it's making you ask a question. If he's the gangster of love and he's tired of all this talk about love, then what is he, man?
Oh. The only answer, he's a space cowboy. That's the only thing that makes sense in that equation.
And I wasn't ready for that, let me tell you.
All right. Very good.
It's a great song.
That you were ready for that. Oh man. I think I knew we were going to end up on Space Cowboy. We have talked offline so much about what a great fucking song that was. It is stunning to me that really wasn't a hit. That's not one that gets a lot of radio play, but that one, oh, it's just so good. It's a song more than anything else. It's just about flying through space and being awesome, and that's all you need. Like that's it. You're awesome and you're flying through outer space. Like what, sold. You know what I picture? Because there's no music video for it. So you know what I picture when I hear that song? I don't picture
Clint Eastwood, right?
Yeah. Actually,
For the Space Cowboys, the movie Space Cowboys.
Yeah.
Do they...
No, a different movie. I just picture the Winnebago from Spaceballs. I don't picture Lone Star and Barf. If I have to picture a driver, I picture Steve, but I just picture the Winnebago flying through space and that song kind of trailing off. Instead of Bon Jovi, Raise Your Hands from the movie, you can swap that out for Space Cowboy, and then that's its own thing that you don't even need the rest of the movie for.
Absolutely. I got hooked on that way back because they played it for because it doesn't get a ton of radio play, like you said, like you kind of mentioned.
Really none.
They use that as a promotion on the commercial for Lost in Space on like the MeTV or something like that.
Okay.
And I had to look at, I'm like, is that Steve Miller? I had to look it up. It was Steve Miller. And then from there, it just became like my favorite song. So much so that, at the county fair that we saw him at the first time that you were talking about, I couldn't talk for 3 or 4 days after that because I screamed myself hoarse next to the Porta-Johns yelling, "Do Space Cowboy." Like, play it.
So my memory of that show was I'm back at our seats. You've gone to the Porta-John and to get another beer. So you're gone. Earlier, he came out on stage. It's the encore, and he came out on the stage, and he's like, "All right, it's request time," as if he was taking requests from the crowd. He was doing pretty much the same song. He's just fooling around. And as he's about to play the song, like, we see him turn his head to the side. I distinctly remember hearing him say, "Space Cowboy, well, maybe we'll play that next." And then he started a different song. Cue, 3 minutes later, you come running up to our spot, just gassed, can't breathe, can't talk, hold the beer, and you're like, I told him to play Space Cowboy.
Yeah.
And as you were saying that, we were like, that was you? And then we didn't even have a second. He started playing it, and that's one of my favorite concert memories of all time.
Hey, and you know what? And it was the short version, though. I don't know what the distinction is between the short and the long, but all the set lists I've seen, it says short version.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I guess maybe because it doesn't have the intro with the do 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 do. Like,
yeah, it's just such a great song. That's I'm so happy we both came to number one. I was thinking you would put it there, but you said you were listening to all of his albums this week.
No.
So I thought maybe there was a chance it would shuffle around. Because there's definitely some on here I did not expect. I wouldn't have guessed in a million years that you were going to put Bongo Bongo on your list.
I used to hate it, and you know that. I made fun of that song mercilessly, and I think I've hung out with you way too long, or I'm just approaching 40, and all of a sudden that music is more acceptable to me. I don't know.
Yeah, that's great.
I
Well,
like
good.
it.
You're welcome. Once again, you're welcome for my
Yeah.
my insistence that 80s music is better than it actually is, but whatever. Okay, well, that is excellent. That is our top 10 list of Steve Miller Band songs. Chris, this was awesome. As always, thank you so much for joining me here. I absolutely will have you back on future streams where we can do other fun countdowns. For those who are still watching or see the rerun, you can hear Chris on our podcast, our mini-series about Bob Dylan, Warren Zevon, and right now we're working on Jimmy Buffett. That's all on the channel. Please go check that out. But with that, I will just say, all hail Steve Miller, man. What a great time.